Hi, I'm Sarah Hart, and today I'm joined by Julie.
Hi.
Hi, Julie. We're going to talk today about moving off. So that's moving the car probably for the first time. It can be quite problematic. With very often you'll see learners going off down the road. They look a bit like kangaroos jumping off down the road or lurching off and stalling. So we're going to address how we get the moving off nice and smoothly. So what we do as instructors, we break the moving off process down into 3 distinct areas. The first one is P, and that's the preparation of the car. Okay, so we need to prepare the car first. And then we have O, and that's for observe. So that's making sure we move off safely. And then we have M for move. So it's P.O.M, P.O.M. And that's what we call the P.O.M routine. And that routine will take you through all of your driving, whatever you're doing, whether it's a complex parallel park, it's always P.O.M.
So what's involved in prepare then?
So the preparation of the car, what we do first of all is we put the clutch down and we select first gear. Then we set the gas, and this is something that very often parents overlook because as somebody who's been driving for years, you just do it automatically without thinking about it. But on a flat road surface, you need about 1,500 revs of gas, and that's enough power to help move the car away when you're ready.
How do you find out what revs you've got? Is there
Most modern cars will have a rev counter. Failing that, you can do it by sound. You'll get to know the engine noise when you've got a good purr of engine revs on.
So it's 1.5 on the rev counter?
Yeah, 1.5. So it's clutch down, select first gear, set the gas
to 1.5.
To 1.5. Okay. This is on a flat start. The next thing is finding the biting point. Now this is the all important thing. This is when the 2 plates in the engine come together and they want to drive the car forwards. So what I always do with my students is I do an exercise first so that they get to learn how to set the gas independently. So they're only doing their right foot. So once they've got used to setting the gas, then I get them to slip it into first gear and just find the bite. So it's just coming up gently until you can hear the engine tone change. It'll get slightly deeper and you will see the nose of the car slightly pulling up. And you don't want to pull up too hard because that would be putting strain on the engine. And if the nose is pulling up too hard, it means when you release the handbrake, you will stall. Okay, so it's clutch down into first, set the gas, find the bite. Now keep those feet still. Then we have to observe because that is the P.
Okay, just before we go off prepare then, just a couple of questions. The exercise in terms of finding the bite, how do you actually set the car up for that? Because is it in gear or is it out of gear? Or?
Yeah, so without any gas, just get them to put the clutch down.
Yeah.
Select first gear. And then just gently, slowly bring the clutch up until you hear the engine tone change.
Okay.
Now, if you've got a car with an automatic handbrake, it will automatically release when you come to bite. Okay, so that's a little more tricky, but you will hear that engine tone change.
So do you do that once or twice to get used to the bite?
Yeah, until the student feels more comfortable with it, so they can almost instinctively feel where that biting point is.
Okay, so from what you've said, I would practice setting the gas with them separately.
Yes.
2 or 3 times.
Yep.
So that's just getting the revs up so that they understand where the revs should be.
Yeah.
Okay, and then practice independently getting to the bite.
Yes.
3 or 4 times so they get that
exactly.
right. And then putting it all together to clutch down into first, setting the gas, find the bite, holding the feet still.
Yes, at that point you're P, prepared.
And that's the key thing there is holding the feet still with the clutch at bite and the gas.
Yes,
on the
exactly.
revs.
Now, if you've got an automatic handbrake, your clutchness needs to be slightly lower. So it's an eggshell width below bite. It's tiny amount because when you come to bite on the auto handbrake, it's going to start moving off.
Okay, so we've done the prepare, we're ready there, so we're now into observe.
So we need to check all around to make sure it's safe before we move. And we start over our left side, and that's looking sort of down the pavement, looking in your left door mirror, making sure you're clear on the left, into your rear view mirror, and then have a look at the road ahead. And then your right door mirror, and then the all-important blind spot, which is the turning your head and looking over your shoulder to the right. So it's sort of out of the back window. the back door window.
Okay, so just to summarise out the observations, you start from the pavement side, assuming you're left-hand parked.
Yes.
And it's behind you, so you can see down the pavement. It's almost like a blind spot behind you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then coming forward to your door, left door mirror, and then looking forward and backwards in the mirror and forwards through the windscreen, and then to your right door mirror, and then your blind spot behind you to the right, looking, moving your head to look right.
That's it. So it's over your right shoulder.
Okay.
If it's all clear and it's good to go, handbrake off.
Yep.
And if it's an auto handbrake, just gently bring that clutch up. Now, this is the really critical thing. When the car starts to move, keep your feet still.
So you're holding it at bite.
Absolutely. So you're allowing the engine to engage. And what is useful is, as the supervising driver, at this point, if you count to 3, so feet still for 3, 1, 2, 3, the engine will now have engaged. So now you can slowly and gently come off the clutch, and you should avoid the very spectacular kangarooing down the road.
So this is a cure to kangarooing.
This is a cure to kangarooing. Keep those feet still. And
so for the count of 3 at bite.
Exactly.
So 1, 2, 3. You've observed. You've signalled if necessary. You're keeping your feet still at bite. 1, 2, 3.
That's allowing the engine to engage.
And then what happens with the clutch?
So off clutch, remove your foot
clutch.
from the clutch.
So kangarooing is caused by coming off the clutch too quickly.
Exactly that, yeah.
Okay.
So as a driver that you've been driving for years, you actually don't even realise that you pause at bite. There's the slightest twitch where you pause at bite and then come off the clutch. But having done it for years, you don't even realise you're doing it. So when you're trying to explain to your learner to get the car moving, you forget the keep your feet still at bite bit.
Okay.
And so whipping straight off the clutch, like you've just said, Julie, will create either a spectacular stall or the kangarooing effect, where the engine's trying to get you going, but it's just being asked to do too much.
Okay. So, well, that's quite simple then. So
It
just to
is.
summarise, the moving off process is...
P.O.M. Prepare. And take time to help them, get used to how much pressure they need on the gas pedal to get those nice 1,500 revs. Take time to let them feel 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times where that biting point is, so that they've used those skills independently and got used to them before you put them all together when you're actually going to move the car.
So this is a principle that we apply to quite a few other subjects, isn't it? Breaking down the task into key steps so that they achieve success in the individual step, and then putting it together the complex manoeuvre.
Yeah.
Or it's not that complex, but complex.
Well, it is if you don't know
learner.
how to do it, isn't it?
Okay, so just to summarise, it's prepare, observe, and move off.
Yes.
And the key thing is to knock that kangaroo on the head, not literally.
Yeah. No, we like kangaroos, but we don't want to be doing it down the road.
is actually at bite.
Feet still.
Keep your feet still for the count of 3, and then you get a smooth transition.
Yeah,
okay.
and another little thing that can happen is if their clutch isn't quite high enough and they've released the handbrake, and maybe you're creeping slightly and they haven't come into bite and they just come off the clutch after 3, and you still might get that lurch, and that's just because the clutch wasn't quite high enough, and we're talking a millimetre. It's so sensitive.
Yeah, so just
But
getting used to bite by an independent exercise will help them with that.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks very much.
Brilliant, thank you.